And welcome to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Howdy.
I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. And this, of course, Fourth and Pain. Be sure to follow us on the Twitters at Fourth and Pain, like us on Facebook, and set your calendars by God. Have lunch with us every weekday at noon. Fresh content at fourthandpain.com. As we say, low calorie, high energy.
That's our new motto.
Damn right it is. But
I like it.
we're going to be talking about pro wrestling maybe a little bit down the line. But today, Adam, all about the college football. And a lot, and I mean a lot, happened this past week. I can't remember the last time the top 1 and 2 BCS teams both lose. But more importantly than that,
07.
the beauty of it all. The beauty of it all.
I don't want to hear what you're about to say. It was 07.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish,
West Virginia and Missouri both lost.
now sit atop the BCS standings, in control of their own
Do they still
destiny.
play football there?
A win over USC next Saturday. And the Irish, if this were March, they'd be going dancing. But instead, they're just going to be playing for the coveted national title. Dude, I can barely contain myself. I'm feeling pretty good.
So I'm watching the games on Saturday night, and Kansas State falls behind. Oregon's not blowing out Stanford in any way, shape, or form. In fact, Stanford's looking pretty good. And I go to my wife, I go, I'm okay if one of these teams lose. I'm okay. Actually, no, I was not. I was like, I need them both to win because I don't want Notre Dame in the national title game. I don't want them in the national title game. Well, it's pretty obvious Kansas State's going to get killed.
Yeah.
And they're getting killed by a sub 500 team that when I was in college, I wanted booted out of the Big 12 because they were so bad. But anyways, so when that became obvious, I was like, okay, that's all right. That's all right. One team can lose. I just need Oregon to win so they can play Notre Dame. I just don't want the SEC. I'm sick of seeing the SEC. They're overinflated egos. It's ridiculous. I don't want them anywhere near that national title game. So Oregon loses. And I'm like, well, I really don't want Notre Dame in the national title game. Well, now there's going to be an SEC team in the national title game. Here is my ultimate concern. Because I didn't want Notre Dame in, which is why I wanted Oregon and K-State to win. I accepted that K-State was done, and I accepted there was going to be Oregon Notre Dame. I didn't want Oregon to win because then an SEC team comes in, which is even worse than Notre Dame. And here's my ultimate concern. You guys had better not lose to USC. I am going to decapitate your body into multiple...
Decapitate.
Well, you couldn't talk in the last segment. I didn't call you out. Here's what's going to happen. If Notre Dame loses, you're going to have Alabama, Georgia, the winner playing Florida if they can beat Florida State for the national title. How horrible would that be?
I mean, well,
I'm saying it's a little far-fetched, but how horrible would that be?
It wouldn't be good. I'm not altogether sold, though. I mean, as long as we're looking ahead, I'm not altogether sold that it's going to be Notre Dame, Alabama in that title game.
Well, I'm not either.
It could very well be Notre Dame, Georgia.
Here's my issue with Georgia. They lost by 30. If you lose by 30, you've got issues. I mean, at least Alabama lost close. They lost at home. They lost to a very young team. But... I mean, a team that loses by 30, they shouldn't play for the national title.
Yeah,
that's my issue with Georgia.
The winner of that SEC title game, man, you know that they're going to get that 2 seed in the BCS.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to beat Alabama because you don't lose by 30 without having certain holes. And I think, ergo, Alabama's going to win. Not that Georgia couldn't win because I don't think Alabama's as good as they were last year.
Well, to adapt the cliche, any given Saturday.
It's like, I didn't want Notre Dame in there. They're like the freaking New York Yankees of college football. They get to have their cake and eat it, too. They're like the spoiled little brats of the world. And then I have to watch the SEC, and all I hear is, oh, we're so awesome. We're the best college football conference in America. We have no idea how to play with that orange round thing that bounces, nor do we know how to hit that little white ball. But we know how to throw the pigskin and catch it.
Woe is you, Adam.
I don't like the
SEC.
SEC.
Evidently not.
And then they're still in Big 12 teams. And I'm a Big 12 guy, even though Nebraska's in the Big 10 now. I'm having trouble with that adjustment as well.
Well, we're going to talk about...
I'm just all around upset. I'm not happy.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about your Big 10 and the shakeups that may be coming there in the very near future. Talking about the ACC, maybe a little bit of a Maryland shift. I think both you and I have some very interesting takes on what that could be, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now, let's go and talk about the top 5. The BCS rankings are out right now. And here's how it shakes down, Adam Carriker. Here is how it shakes down. It goes Notre Dame rightfully at the top. Alabama at your 2 seed.
Rightfully.
Well, you're damn right it's rightfully. Georgia, the number 3. And again, I'm not altogether convinced that Alabama is going to trounce Georgia in that title game. Florida, number 4. Oregon drops down to 5. K-State drops down to 6. Saw some projections that had Kansas State that could fall as far as 9 in the BCS standings, but they retain the 6th spot. Top 10 rounded out by LSU at 7, Stanford at 8, Texas A&M at 9, and Florida State at 10. That's your current BCS. Do you expect there to be any further shakeups the final 2 weeks of the season?
Well, there's going to be. Either Alabama or Georgia's going to lose because they have to play each other.
Sure.
Florida, I don't know, Florida State, they're in the top 10. They got to play Florida, so one of those two is going to be out. Stanford has to play, which is an interesting scenario. How do I pull that up? Pull that up.
Yeah, we'll just click that
Here
button.
we go.
Yeah.
Let's click that button and it pulls right up. So it's interesting to me because I've seen where in the NFL, and I think it was like 10 years ago, the Jets and Raiders played on the last weekend of the NFL season. They played again the very next weekend in the first round of the playoffs. So the way this shakes out, Stanford actually has the inside track in the Pac-12 North over Oregon. They're both 7-1. Stanford has the head-to-head tiebreaker because they beat them. UCLA has the Pac-12 South wrapped up. Stanford and UCLA still have to play this weekend as part of their regular season schedule. Stanford has to beat UCLA in order to play UCLA again the following week in the Pac-12 championship game. I find that very interesting and very hard that they're a very difficult thing to do. They have to beat the same team twice, and even if they're better, beating them 2 weeks in a row is almost impossible. Here's how the Pac-12 North is going to shake up. I'll try and explain it the best I can. Stanford wins, they're in. Oregon loses, they have no chance. But it gets a little bit more complicated. Stanford loses, Oregon wins, they're in. Stanford and Oregon both lose. It's a 3-way tie. Stanford beat Oregon and Oregon State, so they would then get in and have to rematch with UCLA. So there's all these scenarios. It's very interesting, and I actually think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how it plays out.
Dude, that really is like week 16 and 17 of the NFL season with
saying.
all these different scenarios floating out there.
I've never seen it in college football.
I can't remember the last time 2 college teams played back-to-back.
And it very well, I think Stanford's going to beat UCLA. Some people don't. I think they're going to beat them twice in a row and face Nebraska in the Rose Bowl, which is a perfect lead into our predictions. But
well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about those bowl predictions. Now, I will say, I do believe that the loss of Matt Barkley at USC, separated shoulder, I think that really gives the Irish the edge. They obviously would have been the favorites going in there anyway.
You're just so excited.
But without Barkley there under center, I just don't see USC being able to pose any sort of a challenge for Notre Dame. But any given Saturday, I'll backpedal a little bit just to cover my tracks. Any given Saturday, just don't see it happening this Saturday. This is the same USC team that goes out, they crap the bed against UCLA this past weekend. So, Notre Dame in the national title game, I think for all intents and purposes, they'll be facing Alabama there. And do you envision, I think that maybe you and I are in agreement here, but do you envision any sort of scenario where it's Notre Dame versus anybody else?
Let me look at the rankings. I mean, they're going to play an SEC team no matter what. No, it's the winner of. I mean, Alabama and Georgia are 2 and 3. I mean, so they're only going to up their strength of schedule. They're going to notch another victory against a great opponent. I mean, they're not going to drop. So it's Notre Dame as long as they win versus the winner of those two teams.
Okay, well then let's go to the Rose Bowl because last week you and I were projecting a Nebraska-Notre Dame Rose Bowl,
so
which would have been
scared of us. You don't want to face us in the Rose Bowl. So you went to that little national title game.
Yeah, that's all.
Running
yeah,
like
we're
a scalded dog.
We're running scared.
Thank you, JR.
So that would have been a lot of fun for you and I personally, Nebraska versus Notre Dame. But instead, it looks like for me, it's Nebraska going up against Oregon now in the Rose Bowl.
So you have Stanford losing one of those two games at least, and then Oregon beating UCLA.
I do. Here's the philosophy there. Oregon's going to win out, claim the Pac-12 title. Stanford's going to lose at UCLA, and that's going to set up the Nebraska-Oregon Rose Bowl.
Do you realize that there would be about a bajillion points scored if that game actually happens? Because Nebraska's offense is ridiculous, and Oregon's is even better. I think our defense is a little better than theirs, but it'll be a great game to watch.
It'll be fun to watch, man.
It's not going to happen because they're going to play Stanford.
Who do you have?
I have the Big Ten champs, Nebraska, who beats Iowa this week, beats Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, taking on the Pac-12 champ Stanford.
All right, well, let's shift our focus now to the Orange Bowl. I've got ACC champion Florida State going up against Louisville. I don't think that the Orange Bowl has changed last week to this week.
No, I still got ACC champs Florida State versus why in the world are you in the BCS Rutgers, the Big East champs?
Rutgers.
Why in the world?
Are they?
And why do you want to go to the Big Ten? Why? Why do you want to make the Big Ten worse?
Because they're the Scarlet Knights.
Same thing for you, Maryland. Why are you going to make us worse?
Well, we're going to get to that. Let's bounce over to the Sugar Bowl now. As I see it, LSU going up against Oklahoma. This could be, a fun game on January 2nd, one that I'm certainly going to, watch. But Oregon, Oklahoma, I think that's going to be a deceptively good game.
Now, why Oklahoma versus Clemson?
Because that's just the way I have it here.
Clemson has 1 loss. Oklahoma has 2.
I have to go with my CBS brethren here, and my CBS brethren are saying Oklahoma's in that Sugar Bowl, and so that's what I'm going with.
I'm pulling kind of a jerk move. I know exactly why.
You are pulling a jerk move.
Let's do the Fiesta Bowl. Well, you should be more prepared. Let's do the Fiesta Bowl. Who you got?
Sorry, I've been covering pro football.
Sorry, I've been watching it all day.
Kansas State going up against Stanford here. Stanford's probably going to lose their regular season finale, but got them in the Fiesta Bowl up against Kansas State. And Kansas State,
Serious question.
Okay.
Serious question.
All right.
Stanford's going to have Stanford loses to UCLA. They're going to have 3 losses. Why would a 3-loss Stanford team who's going to travel no fans go to the Fiesta Bowl?
Because they're Stanford. It's a heritage
And that's
thing.
what it says in the computer in front of you. Okay.
I mean, well, no, seriously. I mean, here's the thing.
Heritage? What is their heritage? They have no tradition of being good.
Stanford? Come on.
This isn't a reading the books contest.
This
is
Bill
football.
Walsh? You talking about Bill Walsh?
That's in the 80s. What did they do in the 90s?
I'm sorry. Was it not last week that you just went on and on about Nebraska's games in the 80s? Oh, I think it was.
We talked about one game.
No, you talked about Nebraska's whole 1980s heritage. You gave us the complete volumes.
I talked about one
1980
game.
to 1989.
Don't make up stuff.
No, man. I'll go back and go to the tape.
Well, I wish you would.
If it's not there, you would. If it's not there now, it will be.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually got. I think a much more exciting game in the Fiesta Bowl simply because Oregon's going to only have 1 loss, a 1-loss Kansas State team. And actually, this was our national title game last week, which shows how much we know. Look how much our picks have changed in 1 week. Gosh, Kansas State with 1 loss, Big 12 chance versus Oregon with 1 loss. Not the Pac-12 chance, but I think that's going to be a great game. Actually, I want to talk about my top 5 because it's a little bit different.
Well, before you do that, I want to make sure that you and I predict the juggernaut that is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl on December 15th.
We already know who's in that?
Why
do we already know who's in that?
We don't. We're just making a prediction here.
Right.
Personally, as I see it, it's Toledo versus Utah State. That's what I'm leaning towards right now.
I'm going to go with Toledo versus Utah State because it's the MAC number 3 versus the WAC, and it's played in Boise, Idaho on December 13th. It's called the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Mark your calendars.
Yes, mark your calendars.
Spend some time with the
Why are we talking about this game? Toledo versus Utah State.
That's my mother's birthday, by the way.
Well, happy birthday, Mama.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Utah State because they beat Louisiana Tech, and I didn't think they would, and now I'm upset at them.
That's good. I'm not going to put you on the spot and make us predict the Belk Bowl seedings, but maybe next week.
But I was so prepared.
So just be thinking about the Belk Bowl.
Belk or Belt?
Belk, the department
buckle?
store. Belk, December 27th.
Belt buckle? Okay.
All right, so give me your top 5 here before we lose all semblance of professionalism.
Notre Dame, number 1. Alabama. I do not have the team who lost by 30 points at number 3. I have Oregon, the team who lost by 3 points at number 3. I have the team who lost by 30 points, Georgia at number 4. The team they beat, Florida at number 5. And there's no love for Florida State. They lose 1 game to a team that's not horrific by 1 point on the road, and then everyone just discounts them. They've been number 10 for like the past 10 weeks of the year. I have them at number 6, LSU 7, A&M 8, Stanford 9. And I mean, you lose to an under 500 team by a bajillion points. I guess I have to keep you at number 1 because you were or number 10 because you were number 1 last week with K-State.
Well, let's go back to Florida State real quick. Honest question: what has their strength of schedule been like? Have they been playing pretty much sub 500 teams? Or are they just a team that hasn't exactly been facing the most stringent of competition? I'm looking here.
Well, give me a moment. Let me work my Steve Urkel.
I've got it here. They've got a win over at the time a number 10 Clemson squad. Other than that, here's their schedule: Murray State, Savannah State, Wake Forest, South Florida, North Carolina State, Boston College, Miami, Duke, Virginia Tech, Maryland, and then they're going to be rounding out the season against Florida.
So here's what you're saying. If they beat Florida, then they should be in the top 5 because Florida's number 4, and they've beaten LSU. They spanked South Carolina and lost to number 3 Georgia.
Well, I'm just looking at the strength of schedule, and this is why it goes to reason why they haven't climbed the – why. No, look at – well, if they beat Florida, yes. Okay. But I wouldn't exactly kick up a lot of dirt right now, Well,
I'm kicking some dirt.
I
mean, LSU, what they do against Wofford or whoever you said, and I mean, they won 1 game, fairly impressive. Stanford, they take time in between their studies to play some football. I'm just saying, Florida State,
Yeah. I was never a big fan of Bobby Bowden either.
You weren't?
No,
you know,
arrogant old man.
You know, we haven't even talked about your favorite game, the national title game.
No,
we haven't even got to it yet.
Yeah, we did. We made our predictions there.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Well, who's going to win? We didn't talk about who's going to win.
Well,
who's
I
going to win that game?
that's pretty obvious.
Do you really?
James Madison University.
Well, I have a legitimate question. Why does Alabama have numbers on the side of their helmet? Are they not aware that they're on the front and backs of their jerseys? Why are they on their helmet as well?
I don't know. Maybe that's a carry back to the times when the numbers weren't on the jerseys.
Then why does nobody else do it?
Because it's Alabama.
I think numbers were
Why
always on the
does
jersey.
this bother you? Why is this a problem? That's the bigger question.
Why do I need to see their number 4 times? It's on each side of the helmet and on the front and back of their jersey. Why not on your socks?
Why does it bother you?
Why
are you losing sleep over? Why are you losing sleep over Alabama?
I lost no sleep. It was a random thought. I'm just saying. Notre Dame looks classy. I like the gold helmets. Penn State looks good. Nebraska looks traditional. It's like they're trying to do mathematics out there. What are they, the Big Bang Theory?
Well,
Bazinga.
My beef with the Crimson Tide stems not from their uniforms, but from the fact that they had a mentally challenged man returning kicks for them by the name of Forrest Gump in the 60s. So
hey, it worked.
It may have
and
worked,
it was real.
But
that really happened.
That's just bad.
It really happened.
It really did. Forrest Gump.
Should we talk some Heisman?
Yeah, let's do it. Johnny Football.
Yeah, me too. Okay, good. Let's go.
All right. Well, let's move on there. Let's talk seriously. And here's something that I've been wanting to talk about with you all day, and that is what the heck is going on with the Big Ten, the ACC. Is Maryland on the move? Is Rutgers on the move? And how does this affect you? Because if I'm you, I don't want Maryland. I don't want Rutgers. And secondly, what the hell does Maryland have to gain by losing the most prestigious conference in all of college football? No offense, but the ACC is the most prestigious when it comes to basketball. And I'm saying
Big East.
Absolutely. Maryland has...
But the Big East.
When it comes to basketball? No.
They have
You've got Duke.
Syracuse and Georgetown are... Who else is coming? I know Syracuse is coming over. I think Georgetown's coming to the ACC in a year or two as well. As it stands right now, I'd go with Big East. But once all those other schools make their way down to the ACC as well, there's no case really.
I'm looking at heritage. I'm not necessarily looking at current day rosters. I'm looking at heritage. Okay, so you're talking about Duke. You're talking about UNC. You're talking about Wake Forest. NC State basketball, man.
Other than Tim Duncan, what?
NC State. Okay, Maryland.
They won one title.
Maryland is synonymous with the ACC in basketball.
They used to be.
To take the Terps out of the ACC in basketball, that's poo-pooing everything that Len Bias ever did there, everything that Gary Williams ever did there. That's taking away everything Joe Smith, Norfolk's own Joe Smith, did at Maryland. That's taking away that national title that they won not that long ago. And it's poo-pooing it. It's putting it in with the toilet paper, and then you're doing your business, and you're just going to flush it down the toilet. That's what Maryland is doing right now. And what they did, this has started, and my God, I don't even like the Terrapins. I'm sorry to say, I live in the D.C. area, definitely not a Terrapin fan, and I am not a fan of that current sports administration, Adam, by any stretch of the imagination. What they did to force Ralph Friedgen out the same year the man wins ACC Coach of the Year, you force your beloved football coach out. Gary Williams sees the writing on the wall. He says, "Hey, I want no part of this. Here's my here's my notice. I'm getting the heck out of there." You have all this turnover. Then you slash a lot of sports from your athletic department. They don't even have a swimming team now because they cut the friggin' funds to it. And now you want to leave the ACC and go to the Big Ten? This is atrocious. This is an atrocity. That athletic director needs to go. This is garbage.
Well...
Garbage.
I'm still upset that you said ACC was a good conference. But anyways, I mean, in all seriousness, I feel like conferences are just trying to become big and massive in order to survive what they know is happening, which is the 4 power conferences. They're just trying to grab teams as they can. I feel like teams are just trying to gravitate to what they think are going to be those big power conferences, which is going to be the Big Ten, the SEC, the Pac-16 eventually. And then the ACC and Big East are kind of making power moves and fighting over this. And the ACC, like I said, they're going to get Syracuse and Georgetown. And that annoys me because it's a pure money play. It's almost survival mode because they're killing a lot of the rivalry. Like Nebraska's never going to play OU again unless they schedule them or they see them in a bowl game. Missouri, you don't know this, but I was in St. Louis. Missouri's huge rivals with Illinois and Kansas. They won't see them anymore. Now they're playing they're actually in the SEC East. Like, they're playing Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and they're in Missouri. Like, geographically, what kind of sense does that make?
Sure.
They're just killing all of these rivals, and that's what drives me nuts. And Maryland, I suppose they could develop rivals because geographically they're kind of close, but they're no longer going to play the Virginias. They're no longer going to play, actually, I don't have a whole lot of Maryland knowledge, but I know all the rivals are in the ACC. And they're going to go to what is basically, let's be honest, a football conference.
Sure.
They're not a football team. I don't understand. And then they want to bring Rutgers along, too. It makes no sense. They're killed. I don't want to see Nebraska play Maryland. I don't want Maryland to go to Lincoln. It's just a flat-out waste of time. Just stay in the ACC. And it should not be all about the green stuff, guys. I'm just saying.
Well, you talk about the green stuff. You know the penalty that Maryland's going to pay the ACC to move if this goes through?
But it's about survival mode, because if these conferences implode, they have nowhere to go. I mean, that's why Kansas and Kansas State were a little bit nervous when it looked like the Big 12 was going to implode. Where were they going to go?
$50 million.
That's what I heard, and that's a lot of moolah.
Where the hell are they going to make up $50 million? You're alienating your alumni. And speaking to a lot of the alumni in the press box Sunday at FedEx Field, they think that this is the worst thing ever.
What do you think is the worst part about it? Because the thing that annoys me is it's more about the money than about maintaining the traditions, the rivalries, what people have known their whole lives. Like, I still find myself, I was more interested in Kansas State Baylor than Michigan Iowa this past weekend, and Michigan Iowa directly affected whether Nebraska goes to the Rose Bowl or not.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's tradition. I'm a traditionalist.
It drives me nuts.
I'm a freaking classic guy. And what you're saying here is forget tradition.
Exactly.
This isn't important anymore.
I don't like it.
No, it's absolutely the friggin' wrong thing to do. It is the friggin' wrong thing to do. And mind you, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they're not exempt from this because they're going to the ACC. Even though the football team isn't, they're still going to have to play 6 ACC games each year, unofficially in the conference. And what does that do? It kills the rivalries, just like what you were talking about.
Well, absolutely.
Hold on. You know the only 2 rivalries Notre Dame is going to carry over now? Are Navy and USC.
I would imagine.
Navy and US friggin' C.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know why Notre Dame doesn't join the Big Ten. I mean, Michigan's already in it. Purdue's already in it. I mean, these are all your big rivals. Then you can just maintain USC. Maybe if you want to maintain Navy, that's fine. I do want to see them restore that rivalry with Miami. Catholics versus convicts. I want to see that. Oh, that's got to be a yearly thing. If you're going to lose all these other rivalries, you got to bring that bad boy back up.
That could be fun. But, there goes the rivalry with Purdue. There goes the rivalry with Michigan. Michigan State, man. It's an absolute freaking atrocity.
Stanford as well.
Exactly. It's an atrocity. Nobody's going to want to see Notre Dame versus a friggin'
Wake Forest.
Boston
College.
Nobody.
Who
exactly.
they just played.
I mean, well,
I didn't watch
Boston
either game,
College,
by the way.
Notre Dame, they have a little bit of history. Both Catholic schools, inherently not that bad.
Okay, NC State, Duke.
Exactly.
Duke, who's, by the way, bowl eligible, by the way.
My Lord. The day Notre Dame goes down to friggin' Durham, North Carolina to face the Duke Blue Devils in football, that's it. I'm not watching that game. Why? Because that's garbage.
Well, I just don't like the fact that they get to be a part of a conference, yet they still get to do everything they want because they don't have to be a part of the conference.
It just stems from the TV deal with
Spoiled
NBC.
little
But I'm not
people.
on board with this. I'm frustrated with Notre Dame.
You have brought out pessimistic prime. What is wrong with you people?
It's just
Optimistic prime is dead.
because they have. Again, man, I am a classic guy. I love tradition. I love the history. I love to add pages to the history book. And what you're doing right now is trying to erase history. It's one thing to move forward and make progress toward the future. It's another thing to blow up what led you to this point, what got you to this point, what built the platforms. And what you're doing is you are blowing that entire thing up and saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks. We got it from here. And the future, my friend, it ain't so bright. You definitely don't need shades.
Why does Maryland want to go to the Big Ten?
Money. That's the only thing I can figure.
Get more money?
That's the only thing I can figure. But what I haven't figured out is where they're going to make up that $50 million.
Big Ten Network, I guess.
I guess, which will be on basic cable in the D.C. area.
Plus Rutgers, really? You just started playing football like 5 years ago.
They had one season when they were relevant, Adam. One.
I agree. And actually, we're kind of defeating our own argument because I have them in the Orange Bowl. But they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be.
Good Lord. That's all I have to say about it.
We are unhappy.
Tweet us your thoughts. Let us know. What do you think about this? Maryland to the Big Ten, Rutgers to the Big Ten, Notre Dame to the ACC, shaking up, losing tradition, losing rivalry games. What are your thoughts at 4th and Pain? Hell, you can tweet me personally at the Chuck Carroll. Tweet Adam at Adam Carriker 94. We want to know your thoughts. Are we out of our minds? I don't think we are.
Well, you are. I'm not.
I'm talking sane talk right now. I'm definitely not.
I'm digging the pessimistic prime. Actually,
I'm not
I
optimistic
don't see this
prime
side
right
very often.
No, well, it got me fired up because you're
it.
killing tradition, and I'm nothing if not a purist.
I will be honest with you. I severely miss Nebraska, Oklahoma.
As well, you
Those
should.
were some of the greatest games ever. I mean, Texas and Arkansas used to play all the time. Texas A&M and Arkansas will play more now that they're in the SEC, but they used to play every year. It's just all these little. You can't kill this stuff.
You know how great it would be if Nebraska and Oklahoma still played each other every year? We would have had Jim Ross on the show.
Well, I think they should just schedule each other a non-conference game every year. I mean, that's another tough opponent, so maybe they don't want to do it, but I think they should.
The money would be there.
That's what I'm saying.
The money would be there.
Instead of going to California and playing UCLA, powder blue soft people.
And the money would be there while they still honored their tradition and they still honored history.
I completely concur.
Don't move forward with blinders onto the past. That's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that.
I completely concur.
And on that optimistic note, this is 4th and Pain. I'm Chuck Carroll.
I'm Adam Carriker. Is that the sign-off?
Yeah, man, I'm done. I'm not talking anymore. I'm done.
All right, well, I've got the arms on the D-line. He's a little upset. Have a great day, 4th and Painters. I messed up my own line.
Have a great day, 4th and Painters.